We'll get started here in 1 second. And we'll go over some first things with some Robertson information, and then what we covered in our last webinar. And then we'll switch over to Carson Burris, who is product manager with R.I.T.E Manufacturing and is in charge of the Econet control. So some first things. Last month or 2 months ago, we actually covered PSC motors, okay, and how they'll be discontinued or phased out of gas furnaces starting July 2nd, 2019. You'll be able to purchase them after July 2nd, 2019. However, R.I.T.E or any manufacturer will not be able to or not be allowed to, per the government, produce a gas furnace with a PSC motor for the main blower motor. So you'll be wanting to talk to your salesperson on maybe pre-orders or letting them know what you think you're using. Come 2019, our last date we can order from R.I.T.E is in February of 2019. So I'm sure our territory manager will get around to you and start discussing that with you at some point. Little interesting percentage here is that 75% of all furnaces sold are approximately PSC motors. So it is a very large percentage. Everything's going to go to constant torque and then also the variable speed ECM drive. So the cost difference from a PSC to an ECM motor ranges from anywhere for a furnace from $90 to approximately $200 price difference. So again, you'll be wanting to get with our territory managers or your salesperson to start discussing that. So some of the other information we have up there on the screen, if you can see it, is our email address for writeinfo@rhsonline.net. You can go ahead and email us any kind of questions you have regarding the topics we have. We also have a YouTube channel where all these will be posted to. So we'll have the whole video and the webinar posted on there for you to review. And again, the YouTube channel, you can just actually type in the search RHS Technical Edge, or you can go to the YouTube link below. So what we're going to talk about today, or what Carson's going to bring us up to speed on, is the new R.I.T.E Econet thermostat and zoning controls. Just a little bit of background of it. It's a 4-wire communication. When you go to the communication controls, you get more advanced diagnostics. It's very easy to set up, and then the new control is Wi-Fi enabled. So without further ado, we introduce you to Carson Burris, product manager from R.I.T.E Manufacturing.
Yeah, appreciate it. And look forward to the opportunity to speak with you all today, and happy to answer any questions at the end of the presentation here. We can probably skip over the first 2 slides. Those are just kind of background on zoning. I feel like there's probably a pretty good understanding of zone systems and the applications that it is used in. So I think slide 7 is probably the best place to start here. Hey, Jay, are you able to advance the screen? Perfect.
Good.
So perfect, that's right there. So as AJ mentioned there, the R.I.T.E Econet zoning solution, which we just launched last month, is utilizing the new Econet smart thermostat, which was launched earlier this summer. And this is a fully communicating zone system. So a lot of the advantages there when it comes to just setup installation. Really, we're kind of modeling our Econet zoning solution as delivering precision, comfort, energy savings, and flexible control and convenience. The components, which I'll go into in more detail, are going to be the Econet Smart Thermostat, which is kind of the Zone 1 master control. You'll have Econet zone controls, which identical hardware, but slightly different software. Zone panel, and then fully modulating power open, power closed dampers. So next slide. Perfect. So we're kind of advertising this or messaging this as ideal comfort when and where you want it, with independent control of up to 6 zones. So as you can see here in the diagram, we've partnered with EWC. They've built a communicating zone panel to our specifications. It only works with our Econet zoning solution. And each panel supports up to 3 zones. The 2 panels can be wired in parallel to support a total of 6 zones. And as was mentioned, we have the 4-wire communication for quick setup. But some cool features that differentiate the Econet zoning system. We have automatic airflow optimization, which in most applications will eliminate the need for your traditional barometric bypass. It's because the system is fully communicating and knows the airflow that's being delivered. We have an exclusive damper linearization algorithm, which I'll go into in more detail later, and then customizable airflow limits by zone, as well as the ability to average humidity by zone, and then zone-specific alerts and alarms, which really simplify troubleshooting and eliminate multiple trips to different zones and the basement or attic. So diving more into each one of the components, quick background on the smart thermostat. As I mentioned, it was launched in June of this year. It is Wi-Fi enabled, so we've eliminated the external Wi-Fi module, and then it has a lot of cool new features like integrated weather, compatibility with Amazon Alexa, as well as some more detailed diagnostics and status information. But keeping it specific to zoning, the entire system is going to be configured from the single interface. So after you've installed your dampers and panel and all the zone controls are up and running, you're going to configure everything from the smart thermostat or zone 1 control. That's going to include your duct measurement, your damper linearization, zone ID assignments, zone naming, etc. So it's really convenient that everything's there on one interface. You will be able to, the thermostat itself is compatible with Amazon Alexa, but it'll also be compatible with our zoning system. So you'll be able to control basic functions like changing temperature, changing mode, all from an Alexa-enabled device. And then there is status information that's available for every zone that's available on the master. So you'll be able to see actual temperature, set points, CFM going into every zone, damper position, everything like that, all available on that master as well. And then you can, of course, set customizable airflow limits and go into more specific zone settings. The smart thermostat is required to serve as the zone 1 master control. Next slide. Or sorry, go back one more, zone controls. So the zone controls, those are the exact same hardware. We wanted to have a consistent look and feel throughout the home. So we are using the same hardware on that. It is different software, and the zone controls do not have integrated Wi-Fi. So therefore, since it's different software and doesn't have Wi-Fi, a zone control cannot be used as a smart thermostat master control, and a smart thermostat cannot be used as a zone control. Zone controls will obviously serve or be required in zones 2 through 6. You can set the temperature, manage airflow, create independent schedules, set away preferences, and things like that, as well as choose the option to whether you want to average humidity across the zones or select an independent zone, or use just your master. So that is available there. The part number is kind of below the image there. It is the R.I.T.E 700 ZON. So we try to keep it similar nomenclature. Big difference there is that it ends in ZON, but it is the 700 series. For the zone panel, this was, as I mentioned, developed in partnership with EWC. We've received a lot of great feedback, and it's been a very positive relationship and collaborative relationship with EWC. This zone panel is specific to REAM. It will only work with our Econet zoning solution. And then 1 panel per 3 zones, giving you a total of 6 zones when it's wired in parallel. We really wanted to make it convenient for our distributor network. So distributors that had a pre-existing relationship with EWC, we wanted them to be able to order the zone panel or dampers directly from EWC, or if it's easier to go through REAM parts, we will also stock the panels and dampers there. One thing I want to call out is that the smart thermostat and zone controls are only orderable through REAM parts, so EWC does not carry the stats. The panel has really nice, clear LEDs that communicate system status, so it'll communicate damper position, open, close, and some basic communication alerts. and then it comes with a 5-year warranty. So this is kind of an exploded view or a close-up view of the zone panel. In the top left, those are going to be all of your Econet communicating terminals. So you have the E1, E2, and then R and C. The R.I.T.E that you see there is not actually used, but that it is there. In the top right, you will see we have zone 1/4. We do not have panels that are specific if you're using a second zone, so that's why it's labeled 1 through 4, 2 through 5, and then 3 through 6. And those are your 3-wire damper terminals. In the middle there is the switch bank one, and it's applicable when a second zone panel is used. So in the event that you have a second zone panel, you would need to switch that first switch in that bank to the on position. And you can kind of see right there above it, you would see the zone 1 through 3 / zone 4 through 6 is on the right, so you would switch it to on. The second dip switch there is if you're using an intelligent bypass. And in the event that you did have an application that needed the intelligent bypass, then you would need to switch dip switch number 2 to the on position on the right side. Moving on to the dampers, we are supporting the rectangular ND model dampers, the round slip-in dampers, which are the SID, and then the just the round dampers, which are the URD model. So these are the ultrazone EWC modulating dampers, power open, power close. Important thing here is that these modulating dampers have a 35-second drive time from full close to full open. Questions come up a lot. Can I use another power open, power close damper? Correct answer there is no. You need to use these EWC dampers because a lot of our algorithms for performance and efficiency are built around this 35-second open to close time. Technically, if there was another damper out there that had that exact same drive time, theoretically it would work. But really, EWC dampers are the ones that need to be used in these applications. So a big thing for us was making convenient and flexible control. So obviously, when talking to the local interface there, you can control zone temperatures from each one of the local controls. We're working on software right now that would allow you to control zone set points and fan speeds all from the master to provide another option. But you will have full control of all zones from the Econet app. So a lot of users, I know, just rely on the app for control of all their comfort. So that is an available option to control all the zones. And then, as I mentioned previously, Alexa is another option that if you have one of the Alexa-enabled devices, that you'd be able to control temperature, comfort, and ask different inquiries about what the temperature is or what mode it's in, et cetera, all from those devices. Another integration that we're working on here in the short term is with Google Home. So that should be out here in the near future to provide a little more flexibility for people that don't have the Alexa devices. So compatible equipment, I mentioned this is an Ethernet-enabled solution. We really recommend that both applications, the indoor and outdoor units, are Ethernet-enabled. So we will have the 90 mod furnaces, the 96B, the 802. On the outdoor unit side, we now have the 17 and 20 SEER, so AC and heat pump. And then on the air handlers, the only compatible air handler is the RHMB. The RH2T is not compatible with the zoning system. If it's installed that way, you'll get an alert, and the system will simply not run. The question has come up about non-communicating outdoor units. In the north there's been a lot of interest in RP16 with one of the Econet-enabled furnaces. The non-communicating outdoor units will work with an Econet-enabled furnace for this zoning system, but I think it's important to really help build or set the expectations when you have one of the units that's the outdoor unit that is non-communicating. In those applications, we're really going to recommend that they install the intelligent bypass to could deal with some of the airflow that may not be able to be accommodated by the system. So some of the differentiating features, I mentioned the bypass. As I said, the system is designed to work without a bypass or be a bypassless system. But in the event you have a small zone that when only that zone is calling, the airflow required by that zone is less than the minimum airflow required to turn on the system, we are recommending use of the intelligent bypass. Big difference here is it's just another power open, power closed damper. So no barometric bypass is ever used in this application. So it makes it a little bit easier to install there. But then also when it comes to just airflow management, we're really using this as a virtual zone and only dumping into the bypass the excess air that the system can't handle. Bypass is something we're not going to first. We're obviously using the variable speeds of the equipment to kind of manage airflow, since we know how much airflow is going into each zone and is required. So it's kind of used as another option to just help manage it, but it's not the first step that's taken when it comes to airflow management in these systems. With damper linearization, since we have all these different damper shapes and sizes, typically the airflow that is being delivered into the system is not in a linear relationship with each damper position. And so what this routine does, it's a patent pending routine, but it takes about 5 minutes per zone to run, but it'll close all the dampers and then open each zone independently and kind of run through a series of different airflows with each different damper position. So that's going to help with just noise control and overall constant airflow throughout the zone for more precise temperature control. The duct measurement, it's not automatic per se at setup. We do recommend that you go into zoning checkout and you run the duct measurement. All it takes is a quick press of the button, and that system will automatically, or that routine will automatically start. It's going to do the relative size of each zone, including leakage, and it takes about 1 minute per zone. So 6-zone system, it shouldn't take any longer than 6 minutes max. After that duct measurement has been run the first time, it will again repeat itself every week. That's just really to see if there's been any changes to the duct work, or if registers have been closed, etc. If you don't run that duct measurement at startup, it'll still run by itself after that first week to build the baseline there. Damper linearization is something that is manual. If you don't run the damper linearization, it's not going to run on its own after a week. We've built in zone-specific alerts and alarms to make troubleshooting easier. Those alerts and alarms will show up on the specific zone control, and they will also be available from that master smart thermostat or zone 1 control. Another unique feature is the airflow noise limits. So by default, the noise limit for each zone is going to be set to unlimited. But if really this is used, if you have customers that are complaining about airflow sounding like a jet engine in a particular zone, then you're able to kind of scale that back and set or choose from a series of 5 different airflow settings with CFM to kind of cap or reduce the amount of air that's allowed to go into that zone to accommodate noise. So looking at some of the comparisons, I wanted to start with just your traditional non-communicating zone system. Obviously, you have the mechanical bypass versus either a bypassless system in our application or the intelligent bypass option. A lot of the other ones, you have the power open, spring closed dampers versus fully modulating in our case. And then you can just see some of the other features that your traditional Honeywell type non-communicating system doesn't have when it stacks up versus the Econet solution there. Slide 21 was just a quick glance at competitive landscape. We spent a lot of time developing the system. We've worked with a series of contractors as well as some of our executives, and we really felt that we built a compelling application out there that's extremely competitive with the market, and when installed in the correct application with correct expectations should exceed or surpass the competitive zone systems that are out there today. So selling points, kind of how we're looking at it, the fully modulating dampers, you can install up to 5 per zone. So in a 6-zone system, you could have up to 30 dampers. We have the intelligent bypass option. There's patent pending technology with that intelligent bypass and the damper linearization, airflow, noise limits, and then obviously reducing stratification overall. Installability, just like a non-zone system, when that smart thermostat is connected, it's going to detect all of the communicating equipment and optimize the settings for performance and efficiency. And then from there, everything is configurable from that master control. So no need to run to the different zones or go up in the attic and check on the panel to see damper positions. Everything is viewable right there on the smart thermostat. There's no discharge air temp sensor required, no external transformer, and as I mentioned, no bypass. It's very easy duct assessment. And then the rectangle and round dampers are really a direct replacement for the Honeywell, so no need to cut new duct work. They'll just slide right in. Because it is a communicating system, you're really going to have improved equipment reliability. And then with the zone-specific alerts and alarms, it should make troubleshooting much easier. The selling versus the competition here, Lennox and their iHarmony system is capped at 4 zones right now. They require the DATs and the bypass. And then a freeze stat is often required for the small zones with minimal airflow. And they also have the high pressure switch required for heat pump applications. They do not have fully modulating dampers and the external transformers required. Train requires the DATs and in some applications has that external transformer, but they also have a static pressure probe, which is required when automatic zone sizing, which we do not need there. Carrier was kind of the closest competitive solution out there, but they do not have the intelligent bypass support, no damper linearization, and no humidity averaging by zone. I guess the rest of the slide was more just kind of background, some frequently asked questions when it comes to just equipment operation, how we're handling demand, equipment staging, and kind of give some sneak shots of what some of the setting screens look like. I don't want to bore y'all and go over that right now, but I guess at this time I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about the smart thermostat or the zoning solution. Any questions that we have coming in, or AJ, anything else that you'd like for me to cover?
One second here. Let me see if there was any questions. I know we always get questions on wiring of it. So when you wire, I know it's all more of a daisy chain and not a star configuration when you have to wire it. So you got to go from one device to the next. One of the questions we often get is, do they have to can they use wire nuts in that application, or are more of a butt connector better to use?
Yeah, wire nuts can definitely be used there. Actually, in our lab here at the distribution center in Louisville, we've used some wire nuts there to help make things easier.
All right. We do have one of the questions. Does the zone master and controls part number start with a U for the R.I.T.E brand? Is there a R.I.T.E brand?
So on the smart thermostat, it is R.I.T.E. There is a R.I.T.E branded SKU. It's the UETST 700 SYS. And the stat is basically auto-detecting the equipment and will display the appropriate brand logo there in the top left. On the zone controls, we're not displaying brand on the screen. So those will, it's just the one SKU, the RECTL 700 ZON.
I'm here, but I see any questions.
Hang on, I think we got one other question here.
That should. I think I unmute themselves.
All right. muting some people. Are there any questions that you guys want to ask, Carson?
I guess one other thing I'll call out is, I'm sure y'all have all seen it, but we do have the Smart Thermostat Service Manual. It's kind of comprehensive to everything Econet. It goes over the entire new interface, all the different features and settings, and then in the back half of that goes over all the different equipment combinations and some of the specific features that are available to each one of the system combinations. But in the very back, there's an updates and revisions with a QR code. That is right now taking you to the, I guess, digital version of the zone training. So that is available. A print version of that is coming. But we also have the zoning installation and spec sheet. We're working on adding that to my Ream by Rude. But it is also available on ream.com/Econet Smart Thermostat and rude.com/Econet Smart Thermostat. That's some additional resources and material there.
All right, one thing I did put up on the screen is Robertson's stock and part numbers of the zone control boards, the slave thermostats there, and then also the smart thermostat for the Ream and Rude versions. So
perfect.
I don't see any other questions at this time that have been asked. So I'd have to say that sounds pretty good. If there are any questions, feel free to reach out to us, and we have a direct contact with Carson, so we can always ask a question, and I'm sure he'll get us an answer back. And if there are any questions, you can reach out to us either by phone number or by our info@rhsonline.net. So I got one more question here. Is the intelligent bypass damper a must with every zoning system?
No, I think really
hang on.
Is less than the minimum airflow of the equipment. That's kind of the guideline we would use to recommend the intelligent bypass. In properly designed systems, you really shouldn't need to use the intelligent bypass.
All right, I don't see any other questions here, so we appreciate it, Carson. Everybody, thank you very much for attending. We will have another one. We'll send out through our communication system to your email, probably in November. Should there be any topics you definitely want us to cover, feel free to contact us, let us know. But thank you very much for attending, and Carson, thank you.